So it's Friday, August 30th, about 1 in the afternoon. I've just finished brunch and I'm back underway. I'd figured out what had happened with my GPS over my brunch, and it had been set to auto recalculate the route. And anytime I deviated up another trail, it would try to recalculate. And when you're in the backcountry and it doesn't know the routes you're on, it would take you back to the highways. So I was very glad that that had resolved itself. And so this is the name of the route I'm on. And I kind of found good information from I Think We Missed a Turn, a very good website with lots of great routes for traveling. And so this is their border route, and I'm actually going to be traveling on the route that's highlighted in the red there. It's the first part that I'm on from Christina Lake. Their routes are very well marked. The blue are gravel, green are highway, and the purple are spicy routes, a little more difficult. And this is kind of a zoom of parts of the old Rossland highway that we're going to be riding now. This is me leaving Christina Lake, and you can just catch a bit of a glimpse of the lake on your left. And I love these routes, where the first thing you start to do is either climb or descend. And this is exactly what we're doing, is we're just climbing. And of course, on some of these routes, it's always hairpin curves and switchbacks. So it's a beautiful sunny afternoon, probably about plus 25 or so, warming up. Got all the vents opened on my climb gear and just enjoying the ride. And it's just so scenic and picturesque coming up through here. You know, you're focused on the road, but your eyes keep drifting over to these great peekaboo type looking vistas off to your side. And so here I'm pretty much traveling east on this route. And part of the reason that I put these videos together is, well, I do enjoy making them, but I like going out and finding these routes and trails, and I usually don't have much information on them. I don't know how difficult they are. Traveling solo, and I'm also carrying about 70 to 80 pounds worth of gear with me, you know, all my tent gear and stuff. I did mention in the previous video I wasn't carrying my chair, but that's another story. Carrying lots of gear. And when you're traveling alone and you don't have a partner, and if something goes a little awry, it's a bit more complex for sure. And so I just try to be, steady, focused on the end goal, and focused on the entire route. But this will give you an idea how wonderful this type of route is. I can't really speak to it if it was wet, rainy. Could be a lot more difficult, but if you pick it on the right day, I think it's a pretty splendid route. It's definitely a route I'm going to be doing again as I work my way from central BC back east, along the southern route. It's far more enjoyable than taking the Highway 3. And you can see you come from those open, almost desert type areas, back into, forested areas. And it just is continually changing. And of course, got all these switchbacks and hairpin corners as you work your way up. But then as you work your way down, you end up with the same sort of thing. Beautiful lush forest in through here. It's virtually the end of August, about to roll into September. This route is about 70 kilometers long, this one section of the border route. And of course, with the graphic from I Think We Missed a Turn showing this in blue, I know it's going to be pretty robust for traveling solo. I can attest that their purple routes are in fact spicy and a little more difficult, and definitely sections where I would want to strip my gear off of my bike to achieve them, or have a partner. I suppose that's the other way. And there's nothing better on a motorcycle than great weather and just a windy, twisty road. Like on a sport bike, you want to do this sort of stuff at speed. On an adventure bike, you just want to do it safely. And all of these corners, as you're approaching them, you see the road over your shoulder going the other way, so you've got about a 180 coming up. Every now and then there's some deadfall on some of these routes. I do carry an axe. Sometimes I don't have it readily available, as you'll see in another video, but I always do have it. And usually a tow line or some kind of thing that I can drag something out of the way. But here we are, just winding. And so if you find yourself down in Christina Lake and you've got to work your way a little bit east, or if you end up farther east and you got to work your way to Christina Lake, I would highly recommend this route. I think driving it either way would be equally fun. And while you look at a map and you see the switchbacks on the map, when you're actually riding it, they just seem to be continuous, virtually non-stop. And some of them are a little bit steeper, so you're careful on the brakes. You don't want to start that rear wheel skidding. I've got my ABS disabled. I really don't like it on steep downhills, so I'm a little bit more cautious approaching these corners. And you know what? It's never advisable to go too hot into a corner. But again, now we've worked ourselves all the way down to the low spot, crossing a little river here and coming around. And here's the Santa Rosa campsite. I think there's 2 picnic tables at this site. I think it might be called a campsite for one, but I think 2 would fit in here, maybe 4 tents if you're on motorcycles. Really nice place. And if your timing was right, it would be a great place to camp. I just happened to hit it so early in the day, I'm moving on. And on this day, I actually do a second part of the border route a little bit later on. That's in the next upcoming video. But once you work your way down, then you've kind of got to work your way all the way back up here. We're pretty close to the U.S. border as we're coming through here. And I didn't see anybody on this entire route. There was only me out here. I did see one parked vehicle, but there was no traffic. It's just me. So again, you have to be wary, and you have to be a little bit careful when you're traveling on your own. Here's just kind of a view of what it looks like in through there. It's just a great place to be. And the next segment is even better, so I've kind of highlighted it there for you. And here we are. It's pretty tight, it's pretty narrow, coming around these corners. And of course, here's the question.